Okay, so I didn't do the plant profiles before because I just ran out of time, and that's the truth. Anyway, but I'm doing it now. When you do yours, you may use the little screen. I would really would appreciate it. I request that you use that for this first round anyway, just so we can get a little more face name connection. Anyway, so first on my list is Arbutus unato, otherwise known as the strawberry tree, in the Ericaceae, as opposed to the Ericaceae, which is the palms. We'll see those later. The Ericaceae, like with an E. I don't know how to make that clear. Anyway, otherwise known as the strawberry. So it seems nice to start out with the pictures. Not very impressive from this picture, but it's growing on a hillside. So that should tell you that I think this is somewhere dry. It looks like it, local place. It's fairly drought tolerant. Let's see, there we go. So this is how I know it. This is not my picture, so I have the citation there. But with these sclerophilous, meaning thick, kind of leathery leaves, good for resisting drought, so they don't evaporate so much water. They're just sturdy and hardy leaves. A lot of our local plants have sclerophylls. And then also the young fruits in this picture, the young little green ones, hanging like a little, like a grapes, inflorescence, whatever. You know, the thing of grapes. Oops. Here are the flowers. They're beautiful little flowers. So this is indicative of the Ericaceae. It's the blueberry family. And I don't know, you might never have seen blueberry flowers, but they look like that, except they're white. Blueberries you can grow here, you know. You just need to acidify the soil. You don't have to do that with these guys, though. Manzanita is also in that same area, in the taxonomic area. So thick, leathery leaves, pendulous, bell-shaped flowers that are pink when they're pink. I think they also are white sometimes. And then this is what a mature fruit looks like. So when the fruit gets old, this little green ball turns into this kind of squishy red thing, which is the strawberry fruit. They are edible, but I have eaten them before, and they were not tasty. They were mealy, and they were not choice. That's a polite way to put it. So obovate, sorry about that, obovate, oblong, and kind of oval shape, but a little bit elongated oval shape. The trunk is a beautiful red. The bark is kind of red. You know, that shows not so well in this picture, like a manzanita. The flowers come in October through December, sometime around there, depending on the weather. And really beautiful flowers, followed by those red-orange mealy fruits. And so these I got from this Sunset Western Gardener book. Is Brenzel is the editor, and that giant landscaping book that I showed you, I think, in the how-to video by Michael Deere. But that book is like $80, so you don't have to buy it. I mean, it's a fantastic book. If I was you, I'd buy it. But if you can't afford it, then don't, right? None of this stuff you can just find online. But please do make sure to cite your sources. Okay, yes, indeed. It's really easy to grow in Southern California. Makes a really nice hedge and great habitat for birds. Its center of origin is Southern Europe and Ireland. Kind of interesting. So that's where that plant is from. 15 to 30 feet tall. Kind of, at least in our yard anyway, the old place where we had it, it was kind of a upright thing, although this picture makes it look like a little bit more wide. Anyway, now we're going to move along to number 3. Let's see if I can pronounce that. I don't know that any of you know any better than I. So, Arcanto phoenix, Cunninghamiana, otherwise known as the king palm. I don't know why. There's like a queen palm and a king palm. I'm going to make a guess that the king palm is bigger. So this is in the Ericaceae, which is the palm family, and the Ericales, which includes palms and a whole bunch of other things that are kind of similar to that. So this is really, really tall, 50 feet tall, easily, I think it even said often even taller than that, 10 to 15 foot spread at the top. So these are just like skinny, scrawny things, and then a big giant, you know, head, crown, with those, you know, 8 to 10 foot long fronds. Those things could be kind of dangerous. So they fall. So some palms, the fronds stay on the trunk, and other ones, they just fall off. So these guys fall off. You don't have to have someone come out and clean it up. But they, you know, you want to have it in a place where, like, you don't have, like, toddlers playing or something, where an 8 to 10 foot long palm frond falling on the ground wouldn't be such a huge problem. So these have pinnate leaves, which means they look like a feather. Bright green above, gray-green underneath, eastern Australian rainforest. Oops, I didn't put anything down there, but they're like a palm. They're like a exclamation point, or like a, I don't know, like a big tall feathery thing. I should enter that though, put something there. So in Australia, they're called bungalow or picabeen palms, and they can withstand freezing, but not when they're babies. And here's the pictures. So here's the inflorescences, the stalk that holds the little palm. Infructescences, actually, in this case the fruits, which have probably already dropped. And then the green trunk above that, and the big, really, really tall, long fronds there. Got a few more pictures. My computer's unhappy right now. Oh, just kidding. Well, I guess I didn't load the other pictures in there, so I would lose points for that because I thought I had 3 other pictures of palms. Okay, but so as not to beleaguer this video and make it too long, we're going to move on. I will have to add some of those pictures, or you can also add them as you are compiling this data from me and elsewhere to make your own library. Okay, the next one on the list is the European white birch. I don't know why it's a European birch. Like, why do they have this one on the list and not one of the ones that grows around here? I didn't make the list, though. I apologize for that. Anyway, but if you understand birch, then whether it's a European birch or a different kind of birch, you'll at least get that close. So this happens to be the European white birch. Look at that catkin, that female flower stalk in fluorescence, right? Because it has multiple flowers on it. It's really long. And then that sort of peely looking bark. So there we go, how it's wedge-shaped at the base, and then long, I can't remember the term. We'll look at it back up there in just a second. And that it's serrated, okay? Now, if it was just one time serrated, bing, bing, bing. But this is like doubly serrated. So the serrations have serrations. The teeth have teeth. So that's doubly serrated. And then here's a female catkin sticking up. Silver birch. This should be it, though. And maybe the other ones are pendulous because they are bigger. Maybe the picture's upside down. I don't think so, though. Anyway, let's see. So these are really beautiful trees. I mean, we have some similar trees that grow in the Arroyo Seco. I don't think they're birches, though. Anyway, can't remember right now, but they're really beautiful. They have that bark that's like papery, and it is mottled. So it's like white and grayish, and darker colors kind of dispersed throughout. It's sort of almost striping or something. So the leaves occur alternatively. So here's a stalk. The leaves come out bing, bing, bing. If they were opposite, they'd go like bing, bing. Yeah, is that clear as mud? Anyway, ovate, tapered at the tip, quite tapered, with wedge-shaped at the base. And here's the double serrated. The bark changes in color as it matures. So this is a quite tall tree, 30 to 40 feet, not quite as tall as the palms, but still substantial, with a spread of about half that size. It's said in the texts that these trees are getting totally destroyed by a birch borer. These are not good trees to plant in Southern California, but there are other varieties and even some cultivars of this B. pendula, Betula pendula, that are more resistant to the birch borer. So if you were going to recommend this in somebody's landscape, I would look for a different species first off, or a resistant cultivar. What else? They are really beautiful trees, but they don't like the heat either. So you need to have it in some shade. You could maybe have it like on a side of the house, like a north side of the house maybe. And also they need a pretty decent amount of water, which also makes them not ideal. Medium tall trees. So they're not like a giant, 80-footer, but they're pretty substantial. And then el último. Now, how many of you have been to Christmas Tree Lane? Right? You know these trees. They're big, and they're really stately. They're really quite something. One of the descriptions said that the bottom leaves sort of go down to the ground and then come back up again. It's not so obvious to see that here, but apparently they would if there wasn't a house under them or something. This one is missing a lot of those lower branches But what's nice too about the top is that it's not a dense shade that this one would make. You can see through it, you know, so it's going to be like nice dappled shade. Although that doesn't look very dappled down there, but that's a whole lot of branches that the sun is having to travel through. But if you had this in your front yard, if you're like I mean, I hate to be I don't want to be biased to anyone in terms of socioeconomic status. But like if you don't have a giant front yard, maybe that's clear. If you don't have an enormous front yard, like an estate kind of front yard, one of these is probably going to make sure that you can't grow anything else in your yard because that's a lot of shade. That canopy is just all the way up is pretty big. So let's see what else. Did I even say the name yet? I think I forgot that. It's a deodar cedar. Fancy name is Cedrus deodara. It's in the pine ACE. The order is the Pineales. So the shape, you know, low branches swoop down, upper branches quite open. Its needles occur in these little 2-inch long tufts, and they're kind of colorful. Like they have like this is kind of a green cast, but they also have kind of a bluish cast. And I'm quite certain that these are the male cones. Not 100% certain, but I think that they probably are, which would be more like powdery, full of pollen. They will disperse that pollen via the wind to try to go get the young female cones pregnant, to get some seeds to go in that female cone, the ovulate cone. Pollen, you guys know this, right? It's flying sperm. It's just designed to go find an ovule and sprout and fertilize. That's its job. Okay, so 15 to 20 needles per tuft. Male cones are shorter. The female cones are a little bit bigger and bluish at first, aging to brown. I mean, that just sounds like something pretty to like for Christmas to decorate if you celebrate that holiday. 50 to 70 feet after 40 years, but they can get up to 150 feet. These are big. They need well-drained soil. They don't need a lot of sun, but like they don't want to be in dense shade. I mean, these guys are going to grow bigger than any shade tree would, but just to get started, they need dry, sunny, well-drained soil and not a lot of wind. And apparently they like acidic kind of soils. So Sunset says it's an 80-foot tree with a 40-foot spread. Durr says it's like 50 to 70 after 40 years, up to 150. Go figure. Go up to Christmas Tree Lane and measure them. So it's an enormous tree. It takes up a lot of space. It's native to the western Himalayas, from Afghanistan to western Nepal. It'd be cool to see a forest of these. And that's it. So these are all in the Plant Profiles folder that you all have access to. And I put the link in the plant list so you can see this and cut and paste and or look up your own content to better learn these trees. I look forward to hearing each one of you present 3 plants of your own and making them come alive. Thanks.